The year is 1934. Turmoil brews in Europe and Asia. Depression ravages America. The world stands on the brink of the most devastating war mankind has ever known. Upon this forbidding backdrop, a small ragtag band of unlikely heroes traverse the globe as they search for fortune, fame, glory, or at times even a way to save the world. The Empire Club.
All right, JB, here we are for episode 6, Intrigue with occasional music. And the title tipped you off that this was one that Tom ran and not you. So when we last left off, we had gotten on the Bellerophon and we were flying away from the Isle of Death. And we also had in our crew Dr. Browner, who had been the medical officer on the Nazi ship that had been grounded at the Isle of Death. So we pick up there. When the Bellerophon touched down in Vienna, the group was taken by limousine to the private hotel suite of patron of the arts, Dr. Rainer Verletz. Verletz, hosting the Gershwin brothers, had arranged for George Gershwin to conduct a program of his classical work for a special radio broadcast. Also in attendance was Simeon Schreck, an old hunting colleague of Lord Merryweather, who had been horribly disfigured by the great white tiger, and who was currently serving as Verletz's bodyguard. So there's some interesting things here. So we're introduced to a new NPC, Dr. Rainer Verletz. This was the brainchild of Tom, this character. And he's hosting the Gershwin brothers. Of course, we're referring to George and Ira. There was also Arthur, but he was a stockbroker. And so the Gershwin brothers are working with Dr. Verletz to do a little radio broadcast of some classical work. And also, Tom introduces the Simeon Schreck character. Now, I had built Lord Merryweather with a rival, but it wasn't Simeon Schreck, it was Reginald Hollingsley Smythe. And I don't know, maybe Tom knew that I had built my character with a rival, but he didn't know who it was, or maybe I wasn't clear about that. And maybe Simeon Schreck was meant to be the rival. So I end up actually having two rivals in the end. They're both great white hunters, like Lord Merryweather. Look like you're going to say something.
You never have too many rivals. You really can't.
That's true. Although, I don't think I got the point benefit for this Simeon Schreck guy. I only got the point benefit for Reginald Hollingsley Smythe. But anyway.
No, but that's meta. That's meta.
Fair enough. And, and then we talk about the Great White Tiger, which was a part and parcel of Lord Merryweather's character sheet. He had a psychological disadvantage that he was obsessed with hunting the Great White Tiger. Indeed, all of these guys were Simeon Schreck, Reginald Hollingsley Smythe. They all had this bee in their bonnet about the Great White Tiger.
Yeah, that Great White Tiger got around.
He got around.
He did. He was a world operator.
And he got on a lot of people's lists.
I think George Gershwin actually had a thing with the Great White Tiger too.
Right. Ira as well, and maybe even Arthur. Maybe that's why he gave up the biz and went into stockbroking. I don't know. So, all right, but Simeon Schreck is brought in as Dr. Rainer Verletz bodyguard. So Rainer Verletz is this patron who's hosting the Gershwin brothers at his suite. All right, and we pick up there. So now we're going to see, by the way, you mentioned before we started rolling that Tom really crafted a very detailed mystery here. This turns out to be a murder mystery, but in fact, there are actually 3 mysteries that Tom builds into the story. And interestingly, the 2 of the 3 are resolved relatively quickly. I'm not so sure about the main mystery, the murder mystery, so we'll talk about that. But here we go. Later that evening, Kara discovered that the music charts Gershwin was working on had been altered in some strange way. Dr. Browner was discovered murdered, a half-finished message written on the wall in his blood, a message that seemed to implicate Benedict as the murderer. Max and Juliet discovered a young vagabond girl making off with the music charts and captured her. So here are the three mysteries. One, that George Gershwin's musical charts were altered in some strange way, and Kara discovered it. So Kara is, in addition to being a psychic, she's also a nightclub singer. That was her shtick, that she had perfect pitch. Michelle built Kara with the advantage, perfect pitch. And so...
who else would put that in their character but Michelle?
But Michelle, and right.
Really.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I love that Tom had that same thought, like, Michelle went out of her way to build this character with perfect pitch. I'm going to build a whole murder mystery where Kara's perfect pitch is the key to the result. Yeah, so that was fantastic. So that's number one mystery. Number two mystery is that Dr. Browner, the Nazi medical officer that we picked up from the island, is discovered murdered in one of the rooms in Dr. Verletz's mansion. And on the wall, written in his own blood, Dr. Browner had written a half-finished message that seemed to implicate Benedict as the murderer. Let's come back to that one. And the third one is that Max and Juliet discover this young vagabond girl infiltrating the mansion and making off with Gershwin's music charts, and they go after her. Max and Juliet go after her, and they quickly capture her. And so the third mystery is, like, who is this little vagabond girl, and what the heck is she doing, breaking into Dr. Rainer Verletz's mansion and stealing George Gershwin's musical charts, which, by the way, are somehow defective. Okay, so we are going to find out in the next paragraph. It's the third and last paragraph. I'm going to read it, and we're going to solve all of the mysteries except the murder mystery. I don't think the murder mystery in all of our 50 episodes was ever solved. Like, who murdered the Nazi officer? And I don't know that it's really important, because he wasn't an important character. He was like a holdover from the previous, like a tag-along from the previous session, and it was an easy way to get rid of him. I mean, we could have just left him in Vienna, but Tom had him murdered.
And replaced it with his. It's like the mystery of Sir Evelyn Drood. We never find out, really. They never finish writing it. They never finish writing that episode.
That's hilarious. Yes. Yeah. And if you're gonna have somebody get murdered, why not murder the Nazi? But here's the interesting thing. I don't remember, after 25, 30 years, what exactly, I didn't put it in here, what exactly was the half-finished message written in blood that implicated Benedict? So Benedict is Benedict Grey. This is Tom's character when he's not GMing. And Benedict is of course with us, so he's an NPC in this session. What do you remember okay, so here's what I'm thinking. And my theory actually solves the murder also. I think it might have been that Dr. Browner wrote Benedict's initials in blood, BG. And that's what implicated Benedict Grey. They were like, BG, Benedict Grey. But I think BG actually stood for the brothers Gibb. I think Andy Gibb and his brother murdered the Nazi. You can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a Nazi hunter, no time to talk. No, but seriously, I think it stood for the brothers Gershwin. I think the brothers Gershwin murdered the Nazi. And you're going to see, when I read the next paragraph, there is some evidence to support this theory. And you may say, yeah, but Rob, the Nazi was a German. He wouldn't write B for brothers and G for Gershwin because he speaks German. But the way you would say brothers Gershwin is Bruder Gershwin, die Bruder Gershwin. So it's the same initials, BD, Bruder Gershwin. And it's like an old-timesy way. You put the brothers first instead of after. Now we might say the Gershwin brothers, but you could say the brothers Gershwin. So I think that's what it was. And it was it's a small contrivance to flip brothers of Gershwin so that you could get the BG initials to implicate Benedict Grey. All right, so anyway, those are my thoughts. But really, I don't think we ever solved the whodunit conclusively. So it's kind of like one of those unsolved mysteries that you could talk about, like the ending of The Sopranos.
Yeah.
So, what about you? Do you have any...
Was there somebody in the bathroom? Did they come out and murder
Did they come out? Right. Is Tony Soprano alive? We don't know. All right.
Yeah.
So here we go. Here's our last paragraph, and then we'll talk about it, and then I'll read the cliffhanger. The local constabulary arrived, bringing with them a Nazi stormtrooper, Major Wolfram Steinholtz. Now, Steinholtz comes back repeatedly in the story. Claiming that Brauner's status as an officer of the German Navy rendered this a matter for the German government, Steinholtz arrested Benedict, who protested his innocence. As Benedict was taken away, Dr. Rainer Verletz revealed to the heroes that he was a spy working against the Nazis. With the help of a nearby gypsy band, Verletz was transmitting information using a code based on musical time signatures, thus the inconsistencies in Gershwin's musical charts. The little girl, caught by Juliet and Max, was the daughter of the gypsy king Rostov Dracul, and Kara, Juliet, and Lord Merryweather set off to return her to the gypsy camp while Max kept watch over Shrek from a second-story ledge. Dracul was happy to see his daughter again and agreed to answer some questions. The heroes asked for Dracul's help in rescuing Benedict from the Nazis. So, George Gershwin, like he's gonna write musical charts that have inconsistencies in it. I mean, like the guy was a genius. So I think Gershwin was in on the Nazi hunting, the Nazi spying. When I remember playing this episode, and I remember thinking that the Gershwin brothers were not involved in the spying, that they were just, they were just there, and Dr. Rainer Verletz was having them compose music, but he was taking their music and altering it himself. But now I'm thinking that the Gershwin brothers were in on the Nazi hunting, the Nazi spying and the Nazi hunting, and they had a Nazi... What?
Yeah, if they went and conducted their own music, he'd look at the music going, well, I didn't write that,
Right.
He would have
He would have known.
known. Yeah.
And here they are spying against the Nazis, and suddenly a Nazi the Empire Club brings a Nazi to the home of one of these Nazi hunting spies, or the spy against the Nazis. So yeah, I think maybe if Rainer Verletz didn't actually use the knife, one of the Gershwin brothers used the knife or something. That's my theory.
Ira Gershwin.
It was Ira.
Who would have known? Agents of Mossad.
So that's my theory.
Ira Gershwin, Nazi hunters.
That's my theory, but we'll never truly know.
Yeah.
And and also I like that this is a good example of fun with GM PCs. Like when you're the GM, you could just have your PC arrested by Nazis. It's okay, because you're the GM. Yeah. Like, you don't have to worry. There are no stakes. You don't have to worry, like, oh, what's the GM going to do with my PC? Because you're the GM. You can have him arrested. Although, he stays arrested into the next session. So he actually is delivering his own PC into your hands. He's delivering the fate of his own PC into your hands. Yeah. But,
And I could have said, we're going to leave him. Don't worry about it. He'll be okay. He'll be fine. He'll be okay.
Right.
It's going to happen. He's in the hands of some Nazis of the SS. I seem to remember a couple of things about my own character I played as a joke. First, that he was never comfortable in the suit they gave him.
Right.
And also that he couldn't sing. He couldn't sing a note. And he would start trying to sing, and people would go, no, please. No.
I don't remember that. That's very cute.
Yeah. I remember making that point that he couldn't really sing a note. And I think even Juliet is kind of like,
Yeah, Max was lovably oafish in some ways. It was funny.
A little bit, yeah. I tried to play the comical aspects in this one. There wasn't a lot of daring do in this one. It was all mystery. which was interesting. It was interesting to bring that into it, because I think this is really, I mean, there was mystery in it, but it wasn't like there were specifically mysteries up until this point. This actually was a mystery that we were trying to solve, which was interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think Tom did a bang up job. I mean, he put 3 little twists in it, 3 mysteries. I think it was very clever. I like how he did it. The only bit of daring do is the cliffhanger, which was your daring doing. So that was about it. So let's get to the cliffhanger. Here we go. All right. So Dracul was happy to see his daughter again and agreed to answer some questions. The heroes asked for Dracul's help in rescuing Benedict from the Nazis. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Max saw a complement of German soldiers approaching and leapt to the ground, commandeering a motorcycle and speeding to the camp to warn the others just as the first armored transport entered the field.